All right, are we all good?
We are good.
Great. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for attending Empathy in Action, the Power of Human-Animal Connection. This presentation is the first part of HABIC's new Lunch and Learn 3-part community education series, and it really focuses on building deeper connections through listening and understanding. In this presentation, I'm going to give an overview of therapy animal work. I'll discuss some of the therapeutic benefits of human-animal interaction, and I'll talk about some ways we can use active listening to foster meaningful connections between therapy animals and then the people that they serve. And then I'll also touch on how to use empathy and effective communication to promote positive therapeutic interactions. And while I will focus on applying these concepts to therapy animal work, a lot of these ideas can be applied to other therapies, interventions, just work within the helping professions. So it can definitely apply beyond therapy animal work as well. And at the very end, there is going to be a Q&A session. I'll just ask that if you do have any questions, you put it in that little Q&A spot within Teams, and then I will answer those questions at the very end. So before I really jump into everything, I figured it would be good to give a quick speaker introduction. My name is Amelia Malone. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns. I graduated with my bachelor's in social work from Colorado State University in December of 2022, and I'm about to graduate with my master's in social work this spring semester. I am currently working as a graduate student intern with Human Animal Bond in Colorado, also known as HABIC, which is a fantastic therapy animal organization on CSU's campus through the School of Social Work. And in addition to growing up with a bunch of dogs and cats, I started working professionally with animals in high school as a dog groomer for a while. And then I also started working as a human animal bond researcher for the veterinary teaching hospital within the Department of Clinical Sciences after I started college. And I worked in that position for several years, and then I more recently switched over to therapy animal work with HABIC. In addition to all of that professional experience, I'm also a cat foster volunteer for Animal Friends Alliance, which is a rescue up here in Fort Collins. And I have foster failed twice, so now I am a pet parent to 2 cats named Pims and Junie. Pims is actually in that picture of me right there, in that picture with me. And then I am going to get my cat Junie certified as a therapy animal soon, so I'll have a picture with her too in a little bit. And on top of all that information, I'm just a really big advocate for the powerful connection between humans and animals. I'm really passionate about fostering these interactions in a way that maximizes therapeutic benefits and doing it in a way that's a positive experience for everyone involved. And I also want to give a little overview of HABIC, since HABIC is the fantastic organization putting on this community education series. HABIC is a part of CSU's School of Social Work and sponsors community engagement programs, education, and research to explore and advance the benefits of human-animal bond. Our mission is to improve the quality of life for people of all ages through the therapeutic benefits of companion animals. We were founded back in 1993, so we've been serving the community for over 30 years. We have over 185 volunteers and over 45 agencies across the Front Range. And our teams go into facilities like hospitals, long-term care and rehab, schools, senior care facilities, hospice, mental health facilities. So we really have teams in a very broad range of facility types. And a common misconception is that we're funded by CSU, but we're actually completely self-funded and rely on grants and donations. We do focus heavily on community engagement, as I mentioned before. We do train volunteer animal therapy teams who then help build trust, strengthen relationships, and facilitate the therapeutic process in those facilities that I was talking about earlier. We also focus on education. We offer courses and certificates through CSU for the purpose of allowing working professionals to value the science behind human-animal interactions, and then also use human-animal bond to help the populations that they serve. And then we also do a little bit of research. It's really important to recognize that research leads to results. And as a nonprofit center, we support research studies to explore outcomes of human-animal interactions for human health and well-being. And on the right side of the screen there, I did pull some pictures of some of our fabulous certified therapy animals. We do work with both cats and dogs, so I pulled some pictures of our dogs, Gryffindor, Loki, and Kismet. Figured I would throw a picture of one of our cats on there as well, Jolene. And this presentation primarily focuses on ways to use empathy and understanding in the context of human-animal interactions and therapies. So I figured it would be a good idea to give a short overview of what therapy animal work really entails. Humans and animals interact in many ways beyond therapy animal work, but this is a significant area where we see positive benefits of human-animal interactions. And therapy animal work is also a great example of human-animal interaction for us to apply empathy and active listening skills to, so we can learn about promoting positive therapeutic interactions within this context. So before I go into my spiel about what therapy animals are, I would love to check in with the audience. If you could quickly type in the chat, I would love for you to answer, what is your understanding of what a therapy animal is? An animal that provides comfort and support. Good, good. Any other ideas? Give it a minute, let people type. Animals that support positive feelings in humans. Perfect, perfect. Connection, opportunity for a healing transaction. Perfect. Can be an animal that provides animal-assisted therapies or engages in therapeutic activities. That's totally right. A well-trained animal that connects with people, benefit. Wonderful. Animals that have participated in a specific training to provide therapeutic support. Used at school situations, nursing homes, provide support for individuals. Improve physical and emotional well-being. Great, great. Wonderful. Well, it seems like we're all on the right track, which leads me perfectly into my next spiel about therapy animals and what they really are. They essentially go and provide people with healing contact. So you all were on the right track with that. They typically work in institutional or clinical settings, and they are intended to improve physical, social, emotional, or cognitive functioning. Therapy animals can be just about any species as well, although therapy animal organizations often only work with specific animals. As I mentioned before, HABIC only works with therapy dogs and cats, but I have seen other therapy animal organizations work with animals like horses, rabbits, guinea pigs, llamas, birds. I've even heard of cows and chickens, so a really broad range of animals can be involved in this type of work. And in most cases, therapy animals do go through a training and certification process. I did see a couple people mention that. And they tend to do this before they go out and do their work within the community. This training and certification process often includes skill building opportunities that prepare the handler and the animal for a variety of situations and environments that they might encounter. So some examples might be preparing them for loud noises, or if food or pills are dropped on the floor, or if they're meeting someone in a wheelchair. So just preparing them for anything they might encounter when they go out into the community. And many people who have therapy animals are members of the community who just happen to have a really sweet and social animal that they think would be a good fit for this work. While practitioners can also be a direct handler of the animal, many therapy animal handlers are volunteers out in the community. And we see this quite a bit within HABIC, since almost all of our therapy animals are owned by volunteers within the Colorado community. And when people think of therapy animals, sometimes they mix it up with service animals and emotional support animals, and it's important to understand the difference since they are used for unique purposes and they have different rights. So ESAs, or emotional support animals, they are intended to provide emotional comfort to their owners. They don't have any special training. They don't have the right to access public spaces. One right that they do have, though, is that they have special housing rights. They can live with their owners regardless of no pet policies. Service animals are, on the other hand, are trained to perform specific tasks to help a single individual manage some sort of disability or impairment in their day-to-day life. Those animals go through pretty extensive training. They go into all public spaces with the person and are federally recognized. And some examples of service animals that you might have seen out in the community might be guide dogs for individuals with vision impairments or hearing dogs for individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. Now, unlike service animals, therapy animals don't have access to all public spaces, but they can go into facilities that partner with therapy animal organizations, and that's how they go and spread joy to many different people. Therapy animals are pretty effective in a variety of settings, and they can help clients with a very broad range of backgrounds. They have shown to benefit people with a range of ages, races, ethnicities, genders, sexual orientations, physical and mental ability levels. So therapy animals can serve very diverse populations. So to summarize this information, therapy animals can be many different species. They typically go through some sort of certification process. They can help many different kinds of people, and they can work in a variety of facilities. Also, therapy animals tend to work in one of two areas, and I did notice that some of you all touched on animal-assisted therapy in your response to my question earlier. Animal-assisted activities, or AAA, is one area that they can work in, and animal-assisted therapy, or AAT, is the other area. So AAA provides opportunities for motivation, education, or recreation to enhance quality of life. It's often delivered in pretty wide variety of environments, and it's a more informal use of therapy animals. In the photo there with right above AAA, we see one of our HABIC golden retrievers, that's Kismet there, visiting a local library. And we can see one of the library's staff petting Kismet and the other HABIC animals to de-stress at work. It's just a chance for them to interact with the animal, enjoy their comforting presence, pet them, just de-stress a little bit. And then on the other hand, AAT is a more formal use of therapy animals. It's a goal-oriented, planned, structured, documented therapeutic intervention directed by a health and human services provider as a part of the profession. And this intervention can be included in the work of many different types of practitioners. They can be used with physicians, occupational therapists, physical therapists, nurses, social workers, speech therapists, mental health professionals, and so on. And an example of AAT may be incorporating a dog into counseling sessions with a child, and then using that dog to practice skills like patience, confidence, interpersonal skills by empowering the child to guide the dog to perform various tasks or tricks. In this photo here for AAT, we can see one of our HABIC Huskies involved in animal-assisted therapy services at one of our local elementary schools out here. And we can see that the dog is being walked through the hallway and is incorporated into therapy for this child. And by walking the dog through the hallway, it helps the child build confidence and interpersonal skills. So since the animal is used to target building specific skills, it's used in a more formal manner, we can consider this animal-assisted therapy. So therapy animals can be used as more of a formal or informal intervention. Now, I'd like to bring it back to the audience once more. I would imagine that many of you who signed up to watch this presentation have some sort of meaningful connection to animals, either personally or professionally. So I want you to take a minute and think about an impactful time when you interacted with an animal, maybe with a pet that you currently have, maybe a pet that you had when you were younger, maybe a time when you interacted with a therapy animal or a friend's pet, maybe even a time when you went to a petting zoo. So take a moment to reflect on that interaction with the animal, and in the chat, pick one or two words to answer one of these two questions. How did interacting with the animal make you feel? And what did you take away from that experience? So take a moment to reflect on that, and then type one or two words to answer one of these questions in the chat. Calm and centered, peaceful or grounded, calm, happy, unconditional love, joy, all connection, love this, happy, comforted, great, warmth, lifted, positive impact on mental health. Wonderful, wonderful. So I can tell based off of everyone's responses that you all have had some sort of positive interaction with an animal where it's given you some positive emotions. You've seen some of those benefits in your own life during your own interactions. So, and I see that the animal could read my emotions. Perfect, perfect. I love that. So This leads me into my next slide, where I kind of summarized human-animal interaction benefits into 10 little points. And while some of these benefits are more specific to interacting with therapy animals, we do see many of these benefits present during other positive interactions with animals. The first benefit I want to touch on is emotional support. Animals provide comfort, companionship, and emotional support, which reduces feelings of loneliness and isolation. Their presence can really alleviate stress, anxiety, and depression in individuals. And animals, especially dogs, I would say, offer this sense of just unconditional love, which can be incredibly supportive to one's emotional health. Physical health is another area where we see benefits. Interacting with animals has been linked to lowered blood pressure, reduced heart rate, and decreased levels of cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And these physical responses contribute to overall improved health and are especially useful for decreasing one's stress response when dealing with difficult situations and emotions. We also see mental health benefits. I saw that listed in a couple comments from the previous slide. Animals aid in improving mood and mental health. They can help individuals who are experiencing trauma, PTSD, anxiety, depression, and other mental health conditions. And they do this by providing a sense of security and comfort. So once again, that sense of unconditional love that they offer, really, it can provide this immense support for one's mental health. Social interaction is another big benefit that we see. Animals often serve as a bridge for social interaction, and they can facilitate communication among individuals who may struggle with social interactions or have communication difficulties. I've seen some of our animals be particularly helpful for those that may be in more isolating situations where they don't have easy access to their friends, family, or pets. Within my organization, some of our therapy animals go into settings where people may be isolated from others for extended periods of time. For example, someone who might have an extended stay in a hospital or someone who moves to a nursing facility, they might not have that same level of social interaction that they once had before they were in that facility. So having an opportunity to spend time with the animal creates a really important sense of social connection for them. We also see cognitive benefits. Interacting with animals can stimulate cognitive functions. It can improve memory, it can improve problem-solving skills, and it can improve attention span. And this is particularly true for elderly individuals or those with cognitive impairments. We also see behavioral therapy. I did touch on this a couple slides back. As I mentioned earlier, animals can be incorporated into therapy sessions to encourage behavioral changes. So this is basically animal-assisted therapy. They can motivate individuals to engage in activities and exercises that they might otherwise be reluctant to participate in. They can also really create a comforting presence while in therapy sessions, which sometimes allows people to be more open to sharing with their providers and participate fully in the therapeutic process. We see educational benefits too. In educational settings, animals can aid in improving concentration. They can help with reducing stress in students, and they can help foster a positive learning environment. I have personally seen these benefits at our events on Colorado State University's campus. We have de-stress events for the students and staff where they can just come, pet some of our animals between classes and de-stress a bit. It's a great way for the students to just have a little distraction in their day, take their minds off of school, work, whatever else they've got going on in their lives, especially around really stressful times in the semester, like midterms and finals. I've even had some students come up to me at these weekly events and tell me that having the opportunity to spend time with the animals consistently is what motivates them to get out of bed in the morning. So it's just a really big motivator for students, a great way to just alleviate some of that stress for them. Physical rehab is also a great area where we see benefits. In physical therapy, animals can be used to motivate and encourage patients to engage in movement and exercises that help with physical rehab. So let's say we have a patient with an arm or a shoulder injury, and maybe we would ask them to throw a ball repeatedly to play fetch with a dog. Since the dog would be enjoying the activity, the patient might be more willing to engage in that repeated throwing motion to work on their physical rehab, as opposed to if they were asked to do a similar motion in another setting that didn't involve a cute, happy, sweet dog that wanted to play with them. Sense of purpose, that's another big benefit. Caring for and interacting with animals gives individuals this great sense of purpose and responsibility, which boosts self-esteem and confidence. So having animals in our lives, even if it's just for a really short period of time, like a really quick interaction with a therapy animal, that's been shown to improve one's sense of purpose, which further supports mental and emotional health. And then empathy and compassion. Interacting with animals cultivates empathy, cultivates compassion. It nurtures skills in individuals that promote emotional development. So spending time with animals in more formal or informal therapeutic ways is a great way to encourage positive emotional development. So this list is a great reference for the many ways we see human-animal interaction benefits. Animals can positively impact our lives in so many ways. So consider the broad range of ways that they can impact you as well as the people that you work with. So in the context of therapy animal work, empathy can be defined as the ability and willingness to understand, share, and respond to the emotions, experiences, and perspectives of both the therapy animal and the individuals receiving therapy. It involves the capacity to emotionally connect with others, including the animals, in a way that allows the therapy practitioner to comprehend their feelings, their needs, and their concerns. And empathy in therapy work encompasses several pieces. Understanding animal emotions is the first piece I want to touch on. It's really important for the practitioner and the animal handler to be sensitive to and comprehend the emotions and needs of that animal involved with these interactions. Paying attention to animal body language is a key piece of this first point. This allows the practitioner to respond appropriately, essentially to ensure that the animal's well-being and comfort during these interactions are prioritized. Now, recognizing human emotions is the next piece, and this is the capability to perceive and acknowledge the emotions, struggles, and experiences of the individuals engaging with that therapy animal. This understanding forms the basis for tailoring therapeutic interactions to meet their specific emotional and psychological needs. So while it's really important to pay attention to the emotions of the animals involved in these interactions, it's also really important to recognize the client's emotions and how they're interacting with the animal. Nonverbal communication is another important piece. It's actually estimated that about 70 to 93% of communication is nonverbal. So this aspect of interaction should not be underestimated. Practitioners can utilize nonverbal cues, body language, subtle signs from both the animal and the individuals to establish a meaningful and empathetic connection. And this form of communication really enhances that therapeutic experience. It's very important to watch for nonverbal cues from both that client and animal, and that helps us gain a better sense of their emotions and needs. Also, on the other hand, practitioners need to pay attention to their own nonverbal communication to ensure that they physically show that they're empathetically listening, like using eye contact, nodding along to show that they understand what the individual said. So nonverbal communication is really important to pay attention to from all parties involved in these interactions. Adaptability and responsiveness is another valuable part of using empathy in therapy. It's incredibly important to be flexible and responsive in adjusting therapeutic approaches based on the emotional cues and reactions observed in both the animal and the individuals. This adaptability really ensures a supportive and empathetic environment for therapy. Every client is going to have different needs. They're going to have different goals and different responses to interventions. So it's really important to tailor therapy to the unique needs of each client and recognize that their therapeutic plan may need to be adapted over time as the practitioner observes different responses in the human and the animal. It's important to constantly reassess the emotional state of the human and animal and then adapt the intervention accordingly. And then maintaining boundaries is the last aspect of incorporating empathy into therapy that I'm going to touch on. Balancing empathy with professional boundaries can be challenging, but it's really important for appropriate therapeutic interactions to take place. Maintaining boundaries ensures that while empathizing with both the animal and the individuals, the practitioner maintains a professional and an ethical approach to therapy. Practitioners should be aware of their own professional boundaries before starting these therapeutic interactions and then maintain those boundaries throughout their work. In therapy work, empathy really serves as this fundamental tool for fostering trust, for building relationships, and creating a safe, supportive, and understanding environment where both that therapy animal and the individuals can benefit from that therapeutic interaction. It's incredibly important to tie all of these pieces together to ensure that, we're recognizing both the humans and the animals' emotions, we're observing those nonverbal cues, we're adapting those interventions and approaches based on both the observed and stated needs of the parties involved, and we need to make sure we're not crossing any ethical lines. This is a really excellent way to incorporate empathy appropriately into therapeutic interactions with animals. Now, I think it's important to give you some actual tools that you can go out and use during these interactions. Empathetic communication involves actively listening, understanding, and responding to the emotions and needs of others. In therapy animal work, effective communication can deepen the bond between the therapy animal, the practitioner, and the individual seeking therapy. So I'm going to give you some examples of empathetic communication tools that can be an excellent way to strengthen the therapeutic interaction. Active listening is the first tool that I'm going to touch on. This is when you pay really close attention to both the verbal and the nonverbal cues from both that animal and the individuals. As I mentioned previously, nonverbal communication is just as important to pay attention to as verbal communication from both the animal and the client. For instance, a practitioner should observe the body language of the animals and respond accordingly, and that will help ensure their comfort during these interactions. Let's say we notice that a dog starts panting. They might feel a little anxious. Maybe they need to go outside. Maybe they need to cool themselves down. It's really important for a practitioner to pay attention to that panting. If the panting is from an animal's anxiety, maybe it's best for the practitioner to engage with the client individually for some time, or switch to a different activity in the therapy session that incorporates the animal. In this photo here that I pulled, a practitioner would observe this situation and actively listen. They might see that the person is smiling while petting the dog, and they're crouching down to be on the dog's level. The dog is showing that they're enjoying the interaction too by lifting their head up. They're accepting the human's pets. They're clearly showing that they're comfortable in the interaction. So in this example, actively listening to their body language indicates that the person and the animal are having a positive connection. Reflective responses is another useful tool to have in your back pocket. This is when you mirror the emotions or the sentiments expressed by the individuals engaging with the therapy animal. So if someone expresses joy or comfort while interacting with the animal, acknowledging and reflecting that emotion can deepen the connection that they're having. For instance, a practitioner may say, "I see that you're smiling while petting the dog." Or if a client mentions feeling less anxiety now that the dog is present in their therapy sessions, a practitioner could say, "I'm glad you're feeling more comfortable in our sessions now that the dog is here." In this photo here on the slide, we can see a child petting one of our HABIC dogs again. And let's say in this scenario, the child's laughing a little and they say, "I have a dog just like this one at home." A practitioner might reflect that child's response, their emotions and their sentiments by saying, "I see that petting my dog reminds me of your dog from home and has brought a smile to your face." So just mirroring those emotions and sentiments can be a really great way to show that you're empathetically communicating during these interactions. Validation is also helpful to use. It's important to validate the feelings and experiences of the individuals engaging in these interactions. Acknowledge their emotions, acknowledge their concerns, their struggles, to demonstrate understanding and support. For instance, if someone expresses anxiety about the therapy session, acknowledging their feelings and offering reassurance can be really helpful. Therapy can bring up a vast array of emotions, and it's important to validate how each person feels. There's no specific way someone should be feeling during sessions or during any of these interactions with the animals. So normalizing whatever they are feeling is a great way to promote the client's comfort and hopefully encourage them to continue opening up. In this photo here, the human is holding the dog close. They begin to cry. Let's say maybe they're discussing a struggle in their life, like a recent medical issue. A practitioner might validate her feelings by drawing attention to the comfort the dog is bringing her through physical touch. And then a practitioner may validate her feelings by saying something like, "I cannot imagine how difficult this must be to go through. Any emotions you're feeling are completely understandable." So ensuring the person feels that any emotions that are brought up are accepted and validated is an important empathetic communication tool. Empathetic statements are also helpful. This is when you use phrases that convey empathy and understanding. So once again, drawing attention to someone's emotions or experience with the animal can help them process that experience and build an even deeper connection. Empathetic statements also show that you are listening to the experience that they're having as well. You're paying attention to that interaction. In this photo, we can see a child petting one of our HABIC dogs while sitting on the floor. And in this context, someone might use an empathetic statement. A practitioner or an animal handler, they might say something along the lines of, "I can see that interacting with the therapy dog brings you comfort." Or, "It seems like you're feeling more relaxed and at ease around the therapy dog." So using those empathetic statements to build an even deeper connection. Nonverbal communication, again, this is actually a really helpful tool to use during these interactions. Utilize nonverbal cues like gentle touches, nods, maintaining eye contact to convey empathy and understanding without words. This is really crucial in communicating with both the animal and the individuals. Sometimes it's not about what you say, it's about what you don't say. So showing that you're listening and understanding your clients simply by nodding your head, using open body language. So not crossing your arms, using open body language, looking them in the eyes, or if you notice they're upset, passing them tissues. That's a really great way to show empathy without saying a single word. In this photo here, we have one of our fabulous animal handlers, Mary, volunteering with her dog. And while the dog interacts with a librarian, the animal handler shows that she is empathetically listening through her nonverbal communication. We can see that she's smiling. She's making eye contact. She's using that open body language to show that she's listening, which helps all parties involved create a deeper connection and feel even more comfortable with the interaction. Respecting boundaries is also helpful. Being mindful of personal space and comfort levels, both of the animal and the individuals, is vital. Being respectful of boundaries fosters trust. It really creates a safe environment for everyone involved. So while the practitioner should have their own professional boundaries, clients and therapy animals have boundaries that also need to be respected. For example, if a child is working with a dog in a counseling session, it's really important to teach the child to interact with the dog appropriately. So the child shouldn't be pulling on the dog's tail or the dog's ears, since that would go against the boundaries of the animal and potentially lead to harm. And on the other side of that, clients have boundaries too. So it's important to respect their physical space. It's also important to respect whatever their comfort level is with discussing their struggles with you. In this photo here, we can see a practitioner, an animal handler, sitting on the ground with the children, but they're still respecting their personal space. And the dog's boundaries are also being respected, since the handler is listening to the dog's body language and the children are respectful about entering the dog's personal space. They're not climbing on top of the dog. They're being respectful of that boundary. And then empathetic inquiry is the last tool I'm going to touch on, although there are many other tools beyond these as well that are helpful and create even deeper connections during these therapeutic interactions. Empathetic inquiry is when you ask open-ended questions that encourage individuals to express their feelings or experiences. For example, in this photo here, we have one of our HABIC cats. We've got a child petting them, enjoying the experience. And a practitioner or an animal handler might use an empathetic inquiry by asking, how does interacting with the therapy cat make you feel? Or what aspect of this interaction is particularly meaningful to you? Asking these questions can help people reflect on that interaction, and processing the interaction is really where therapeutic benefits take place. So encouraging people to process by asking questions can be a really helpful tool that allows clients to take even more away from that experience. In therapy animal work, these communication strategies help create a really supportive and empathetic environment, which facilitates the therapeutic process and promotes emotional well-being for both the individuals seeking therapy and the therapy animals involved. These are some really great tools that each of you can likely incorporate into your own work, even if you're not specifically working with therapy animals or in a therapy environment. So empathy really forms the cornerstone of effective therapy sessions involving animals. It really goes beyond just interaction and becomes this catalyst for profound emotional connections and therapeutic progress. In fact, it's actually estimated that about 20% of therapeutic outcomes are determined by the therapeutic alliance formed between providers and clients. And empathy is a really valuable way to strengthen the therapeutic alliance and create stronger outcomes for your clients. It's incredibly important to tailor therapeutic interactions based on the unique needs of each client as well. Each individual engaging with a therapy animal comes with their own set of emotional, psychological, and physical needs. By integrating empathy, practitioners adapt their approach. They tailor the interactions to align with these diverse needs, and this customization really ensures that every therapy session becomes a very personalized and impactful experience. So empathy is really a great way to show that you as a practitioner or an individual engaging with clients care about how to best address the specific concerns of that client. Empathy in this context also shows, of course, that you care about the well-being of the animals involved in the work too. Empathy is important for all parties involved in these interactions. Empathy from any being during these interactions can strengthen the connection, whether it's empathy from the animal, empathy from the practitioner or animal handler, or maybe it's even empathy from the client. For example, we use empathy a lot in our work and school settings, and we see many of the kids practice empathetically listening to the animals, which strengthens the therapeutic process. Let's say maybe a kid recognizes that a dog is thirsty. They might go and get water for the dog. Or maybe they notice that the dog has never been to their classroom before and they're kind of nervous. They might go and take the dog on a tour around the classroom. Sometimes empathy really occurs naturally when a dog isn't really comfortable that day. Maybe the dog moves away from an incoming hug from a kid. Or maybe there's a storm outside and they're kind of nervous about the thunder. Seeing the dog's discomfort can really give kids a reason to empathize with them, problem solve how they might be able to help the dog. Empathetic communication is really, it's really important as people build connections with the practitioner and the animal. Empathy in therapy sessions creates profound connections. It really facilitates emotional healing, and it enables individuals to navigate their challenges more effectively. It's not just a tool, it's really the cornerstone upon which successful therapy sessions with animals are built. And its integration enhances the therapeutic journey, ensuring that each interaction is really purposeful and supportive. Now, while empathy is incredibly important for successful therapy sessions, practitioners and animal handlers often encounter challenges in maintaining and integrating empathy into their work with animals. The first challenge I would like to point out is burnout and compassion fatigue. Constantly engaging empathetically with individuals and animals can lead to emotional exhaustion and burnout. It's vital for practitioners to pay attention to their own feelings, thoughts, and behaviors and be aware of how stress impacts their ability to function in their professional role. It's also really important to pay attention to how it impacts their personal life, their emotional state. As practitioners, we want to take care of our clients, but it's also really important to take care of ourselves too. Professional boundaries are another major challenge. Balancing empathy while maintaining those professional boundaries can be really challenging, especially in emotionally charged therapy sessions. So to ensure a practitioner is engaging ethically with clients, it's important to maintain professional boundaries even when difficulties arise. And the final challenge that I'd like to bring to your attention is animal welfare concerns. Ensuring the well-being and the comfort of therapy animals while empathetically engaging them in sessions poses a continuous challenge. It's really vital to pay attention to how the animal is feeling and behaving, especially by observing their body language. Animals involved in sessions should enjoy the work. They shouldn't have any harm come to them because they're a therapy animal. So we really need to respect the boundaries of the animals, just like how we would respect the boundaries of humans involved in these interactions. Now, there are some strategies or solutions to help overcome these challenges. And the first one I want to discuss are self-care practices, which self-care practices are a really important strategy to address burnout and compassion fatigue. Prioritizing self-care by implementing mindfulness techniques, seeking peer support, taking breaks to prevent burnout is super important. Practitioners need to take care of themselves before they can be there for others. So take time for yourself every day, even if it's just 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes a day. Take that time. Self-care is not just an indulgence, it's a necessity, especially in professions involving empathy-intensive work. Practitioners who prioritize self-care really maintain their emotional resilience, and it allows them to provide more effective and empathetic therapy for an even longer period of time. I personally practice self-care by going for walks. I play with my cats. Sometimes I go for long drives through beautiful scenic areas. I'll do breathing exercises. I have creative outlets like painting and music. Find something that works for you and take a little bit of time out of your day every day and just take care of yourself. And that's going to allow you to do this work much longer and be much more effective with it. It's also really helpful to take advantage of continued training and education opportunities. Engage in ongoing education to refine your empathetic skills and strategies. And this includes attending workshops or seminars that focus on emotional resilience. So take advantage of these opportunities to help develop these skills and then learn more about how to enhance the therapeutic process. And then another important strategy to address these challenges is establishing really clear boundaries. Define and maintain your professional boundaries while integrating empathy. That's super, super important to this work. It's really important to regularly assess and adjust your boundaries to ensure ethical and empathetic practice is taking place. So having and maintaining these clear boundaries is important to ensure ethical interactions take place that are respecting you as the practitioner, they're respecting the other humans involved, and they're respecting the animals. And then supervision and support networks are another really impactful solution to address these challenges. Seek supervision and support from peers or mentors to navigate complex emotional dynamics and ensure ethical practices are taking place. When you don't know how to proceed, calling on a friend can be a really great way to debrief about the situation and determine the next best steps that will promote the best outcomes for all parties involved. Use these support networks when you're unsure how to navigate difficult, complex situations in the most ethical manner possible. So recognizing and addressing these challenges proactively enables practitioners and animal handlers to integrate empathy effectively into therapy animal work while safeguarding their well-being and maintaining ethical practices. Now, the ethical dimension of therapy animal work is pivotal to ensuring the well-being of both the individuals seeking therapy and the animals involved. It really involves this delicate balance between empathy and maintaining professional standards. There are several ethical guidelines that we should follow in this work, and many of these guidelines apply more broadly to therapeutically interacting with clients, but they're also incredibly important to human-animal interactions specifically. Informed consent is the first piece. Obtaining informed consent from individuals engaging in more formal therapy is really, really fundamental. And it really helps to ensure that they understand the nature and the objectives of therapy involving animals. So informed consent is important with all therapy, of course, but it's especially important in this case to ensure the client recognizes the reasoning for incorporating the animal. Confidentiality is another important guideline to follow. Upholding confidentiality in therapy sessions is vital. Practitioners should respect the privacy and the dignity of those participating in the therapeutic process. Client confidentiality must be maintained in therapy animal work, just like how it is in other forms of therapy. And then respecting autonomy is also vital. Respecting the autonomy of both the therapy animals and the individuals is important to ensure that their rights, their choices, and their comfort are prioritized. Practitioners must recognize the personal autonomy of both the animals and the individuals and not push past their physical, mental, or emotional boundaries. And then once again, balancing empathy with professional boundaries can be really tricky, but it's crucial to pay attention to. Empathy is such a powerful tool during these interactions, but maintaining professional boundaries is equally necessary. So striking a balance between empathy and maintaining professional ethics ensures a safe and effective therapeutic environment. And then ensuring the well-being of therapy animals is pretty significant too. The welfare of therapy animals is paramount to this work. Ethical practice mandates prioritizing their physical and emotional well-being. So it's important to give them regular health checks, adequate rest periods, environments conducive to their comfort. For instance, if an animal loves elderly populations, but they don't really like kids, that animal would be better suited to visit a nursing home rather than an elementary school. So set them up for success. The ethical considerations in therapy animal work demand this really nuanced approach that respects the rights and the well-being of all parties involved. So balancing empathy with professional boundaries while safeguarding the welfare of therapy animals ensures that ethical, effective, and responsible practice is taking place. And to finish off this presentation, I found this quote that really stuck with me that I hope might stick with you going forward as well. Sometimes the best therapist has fur and 4 legs. Animals are incredibly powerful creatures, and the connection we can form with them has the potential to create immense change in our lives, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, cognitively, socially. Animals have been shown to create positive impacts in numerous aspects of our lives, and they're such a powerful tool to strengthen therapeutic outcomes. And on top of that, empathy and active listening are really vital for practitioners and animal handlers to show that they care, they understand, and they wish to validate their clients. The skills discussed in this presentation typically improve therapeutic interactions with clients, especially those that are interacting with animals. But many of these tools also apply beyond therapeutic interactions incorporating animals as well. So consider the vast array of ways that you can incorporate these skills into your work, even if you don't interact with therapy animals. These tools can be used to strengthen the therapeutic alliance, regardless of the presence of animals. However, I do want to mention animals can be used to create even greater outcomes for many clients. Incorporating animals into your work may be a great step to consider if you haven't done so already, as they may create a really unique sense of unconditional support for many individuals you come into contact with in your work. Going forward, I hope you will each consider the unique role that animals play in your own life, especially times when animals have created a sense of connection and care that really stuck with you. Think about how you can harness the power of empathy and active listening to better support the individuals that you work with, and consider ways to better support your clients through human-animal interactions. And HABIC would like to invite you to join us for the next 2 educational sessions in this series. We are holding these presentations virtually, and you can sign up using the link at the bottom of this slide, which is HABIC's website, chhs.colostate.edu/HABIC. The next presentation in this series is Feline Fluency, Understanding Your Cat's Language, and that will take place on March 6th from 12 to 1 p.m. That presentation will delve into the subtleties of feline body language, vocalizations, and behaviors, and it'll also touch on the importance of attentive listening to strengthen the bond between humans and their feline companions. And then canine companionship, Nurturing Trust Through Listening, is the final part in this series, and it will take place on April 17th from 12 to 1 p.m. That presentation will cover topics like body language, vocal cues, and emotional intelligence of dogs, as well as provide practical tips for effective communication and understanding. These are really, really excellent learning opportunities that build off of this presentation by elaborating on how we can actively listen and better understand cats and dogs. Thank you all so much for attending Empathy in Action, the Power of Human-Animal Connection. If anyone would like to follow up with me after this session ends, you are welcome to email me at amelia.malone@colostate.edu. And at this time, I'm happy to take any questions from the audience. So let's see. Okay, I don't see any questions in the Q&A yet, but if anyone does have any questions before they log off the call, feel free to stick them in there and I'm happy to answer them, or you can reach out after the presentation ends and you can email me and I'm happy to chat with you that way as well. Will the link to the recording be sent? Can the link be shared with others? I believe we're going to be putting these recordings on the HABIC website at some point, so we will make them available at a later date. And I'm sure we can reach out whenever we do have that ready and share that the series is available online for people to watch at a later time. I believe all of the sessions will be recorded, so if you're unable to make it, we're trying to make it pretty accessible for everyone by making it virtual and recorded, so you should be able to view it later on if you're not able to attend when we're giving the presentation live. Is there a program for therapy dog training with HABIC? Yes, there is. So we do have a therapy dog training course, and we tend to do, I believe, three different sessions throughout each year, fall, spring, summer. So we just started our spring cohort, but we will be recruiting for the summer soon, I believe. So if you are interested, there is some information on our website on how to sign up and get enrolled in some classes. So if you've got a dog or a cat that you think would be great for this type of work, then by all means, please explore it, because we can always use more therapy animals out there. What is the cost of the sessions? Kate, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's $150 for the whole set of classes. Okay, $150 for the whole set of classes for dogs. And is it 12 sessions, right, Kate? 12. Okay, so it's 12 weeks. So 1-hour classes each week, with the exception of maybe holidays, if that's thrown in there. And then $150, which would cover all 12 of those sessions. prerequisite training for the therapy dog course. We do have a behavioral assessment just prior to any of the classes, just to make sure that the dog kind of has basic behavior that we would be looking for in an animal. Kate, feel free to jump in. I don't believe there are any prerequisites other than I think we recommend that people have taken some sort of group training class in the past, whether it's like basic obedience, puppy classes, something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So we want to see that you've done a group obedience class to make sure that those basic skills are well under the dog's belt. The human knows how to work with their dog already, especially in distracting environments, and that working relationship is already really intact. So usually any type of group obedience class would cover that prerequisite. They don't need to have like a CGC or any specific kind of qualifier, just some of those basics under their belt already, so we can really focus on the therapeutic aspects during the class instead of the basic obedience pieces.
Thank you, Kate, for clarifying. I'll just give 1 or 2 more minutes, let people put their final thoughts in there, if there are any final questions, and then I will wrap up. And if there are any questions that come up after the presentation that you don't want to ask in front of everyone, or you just haven't thought of yet, you're also once again welcome to reach out via email after the presentation. All right, well, I think, oh, do you have any courses for training in other states? I don't believe so, although Kate, I guess we do have a kind of a sister organization in one other state, but we're not really connected. Maybe you can touch on that.
So there's Human Animal Bond in Tennessee. And so they were founded by the same founder as HABIC was founded. So we don't work with them directly, but have a lot of interesting ties from that common founder. Otherwise, I would really encourage you to check out Pet Partners. They have programs across the country. And then as far as just general training resources, I would just encourage everybody to be on the lookout for positive reinforcement training methods. Those are really going to promote human-animal bond and therapeutic interactions, as opposed to maybe some of those more aversive type techniques. So whenever you're looking for other trainers, just looking for people who are embracing positive reinforcement is usually a really good place to start. And then depending on the specific states, we do have random ties to people like in New York, Tennessee, like we mentioned. So it really just depends sort of on where people are looking. All right, I think I'm going to stop the recording here. Again, if anybody has questions, please feel free to reach out to Amelia, and thank you all for being on with us.